or to do something specific with your money can be easy.
Yeah, following through and keeping the goals, well, that's a little harder. Yeah. That's a different story. And that's why we have author and financial expert Sylvia Guinan back with us on Mommy Monday on Great Day at 9 a.m. with some advice to keep that financial vision in mind.
Who taught you about your financial goals and savings and things like that?
You know, my mother.
Was it your mother?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because my mother was the finance woman in the house too.
Yeah.
She took care of all the bills. She managed the budget. She did the whole thing. That's where I learned my money instincts from too. That's very interesting.
Yeah. No, she was very big on saving. Saving was so important.
Which traditionally, right, when you think about, you know, 60s housewives, you know, even up until like the 80s and 90s, traditionally, you know, I use that in air quotations, the men would be the one wanting to know the finances, pay the bills, and they would give the women the money, right, to go get groceries and do things. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is there were a lot of financially savvy women at home. Really, they knew what was going on more so, right?
Oh yeah, no, my mom worked and she was very meticulous about, you know, everything was paid for in cash. There was no debt. It was always, you know, if you don't have it, you don't spend it.
If you don't have it, you don't spend it. Now, see, now I think that's, trust me if I'm wrong, I use my credit cards, but I pay them off monthly because I get the points and I get the rewards for the credit cards, and then they're paid off monthly automatically.
That's perfect. I mean, that is the way to do it. That's ideal.
Right, because I get cash back on my cards, and you know, I get points on an airline or something like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. As long as you're avoiding the paying the interest, that's ideal.
But in this day and age, a lot of people are charging a lot to their cards, especially when we're talking about single mothers and things, and that's why, you know, I think it's so important, especially for women, right, to really focus on finances and how you can be mindful about your money. So first of all, how do you approach mindfulness when it comes to finances? Like, what's like the first step you have to tap into?
You know, I think it's just getting comfortable with money, right? I think so many times we have a fear of money or a fear of lack of money, and, you know, I think, again, it's trying to make peace in terms of how you think about money. And second of all, you know how we talk about, you know, pay yourself first?
Right.
But, you know, you can only really do that if you have a budget. Right? So it's so important to just have a budget, and this way you have more clarity. I think a lot of times, you know, we feel like, oh, well, if we don't see it, you know, I won't have to worry about it, but you really do have to worry about it.
It catches up with you, right?
It does.
Is there a percentage that we should be putting away every month? Is it 10% of our income? Is it 20? Or is it situationally different for everybody?
Yeah, you know, it's different for everybody, right? And I always say, like, you know, again, if you have bills to pay those first, right? But it is important to pay yourself, and ideally, right, if you can be putting money away for your retirement in a little bucket, and then have your individual investment, which could be your goals, whether it's to buy a home or, you know, to save for extra spending at retirement. But it's nice to have two different buckets going at all times.
Okay.
Do you find that people get very overwhelmed when it comes to trying to plan out, you know, the future? I feel like we're really good when it comes to numbers and calculations, right? That's easy. You know, we can apply that to things. But when it comes to tapping into creating that space, right, and that room, like to really dream and think about what you want down the road financially, why do people struggle with that more so?
Well, because I think they don't really see the vision, or they're a little bit worried about not being able to reach the vision. And the reality is, right, the sooner you start, and even if you put a little bit away, it really starts to add up.
It really does.
It makes a big difference, right?
It's huge.
So I think, again, setting a budget first, and then number two, I think you hit it. It's having your goals. Because I think if we have a goal, right, then the budget doesn't seem so bad, it's so daunting, right? Because it's going to lead us to that next step of where we want to be. And then I would say, like, the third thing is, you know, try to either work with an advisor, but have a financial plan. Like, have a plan. So you could see, okay, well, if I save X amount every month, right, in 10 years or in 20 years, this is what it's going to look like. And if I invest it in a certain way, this is what it'll look like. It creates what I call a sense of clarity, right? Because you see exactly what your choices are, and a sense of confidence, right? So you know that you're not just doing this and you're never going to arrive. It shows you how you will arrive, right, at your goals.
And there's nothing wrong with having a short-term goal, you know, if there's something that you really want to work towards too, and versus the long-term. Because I think sometimes with retirement, that's where people can get a little overwhelmed.
Yes, yeah, because retirement is so funny, right? Because I don't know if you remember, you know, when we were younger, it seemed like, oh, wow, we have such a long way to go.
And now all of a sudden, it's not Who is it?
I know, I'm with you.
Retirement.
I'm with you. I know. And yeah, and that in particular, right? You putting away and letting it grow. I mean, and you think about the younger you start, how it really compounds. I mean, that is such a great tool that we have
Yeah,
today.
take advantage of the 401ks.
Absolutely.
All right, good to see you, Sylvia.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it. We're going to continue the conversation too on Mommyhood Unscripted. Sylvia and I are going to continue this conversation there, and you can hear about it all next week on Mommy Monday. But there is a new episode out on Mommyhood Unscripted this morning, and it's my conversation with 4 mommy influencers from Connecticut.
Yeah,
they just launched their podcast, A Room for 4 podcast today, so we wish them a ton of luck, and check that out.